Hello everyone, welcome to the Comic Game Move Show. My name is Deshaun, and today I'm introducing a new thing I'm going to do called Why They're Awesome. I'm calling it Why They're Awesome because I'm going to be talking about different comic book characters that are, in my opinion, awesome. And I'm going to line it up with the certain different movies and trailers such as Doctor Strange, Wolverine, or Wonder Woman, or maybe even some Netflix characters. I'm going to talk about why they're awesome. I'm going to talk about their origins, so there could be little spoilers there, and why they are awesome characters. Now, of course, today, I'm going to do one every week, and this week is going to be Doctor Strange. Of course, the movie comes out in a week. I'm excited to see it. It comes out on my birthday. I can't wait for this movie. And let me go into his origins a bit. Now, this might be spoilers, so if you don't want to see it, just skip ahead maybe like a little bit. Just skip ahead a little bit. But honestly, if you look on IMDb or something, it's just basic, his origin. And the movie's going to be a lot about his origin story, so it might be a little bit spoilers if you don't want to know about his origin story. But, okay, I'm going to go into it. Dr. Stephen Vincent Strange is the world-renowned neurosurgeon. He is, like, the best in the world. Like, he's basically Dr. House. Like, think of that. He's Dr. House, only more public, only a hell of a lot more public, and a hell of a lot more rich. Like, he's not like a billionaire or anything, but he's up there, He's up there. You think about some of the celebrities, who do medical things. He's a little bit above them. So he's like in like a bigger status. But like, yes, he's a complete arrogant prick. And now in some comics and some versions of him, he's an arrogant prick because he got his degree so that he and whatever medical neurosurgeon he became a neurosurgeon so he can help his sister, but he failed to save her, and that's why he's a dick. Sometimes it's that, and then sometimes it's just, and I think they're gonna go with this in the movie because I haven't heard anyone brought it up in like the reviews. I think, and sometimes it's just sometimes it's just he's such a self-made man that he's become more arrogant. And like, which is the difference between, which is what I say, a lot of people say like, oh, this is going to be like the same story as Iron Man, which I can see why, from an outside perspective, someone who hasn't read comics, someone who just like, just comes in and looks at it, I can understand why you would think that. But only thing they really share is a goatee, that they've had money, that they're arrogant, and that something happened to them. After that, and something happened to them that led them down a different path. That is it. That is literally it. Because even the thing that led them down a path is different. Because, for one, I think their arrogance are two totally different things. Like, Tony's arrogance comes from years of wealth and parent issues. Strange's arrogance comes from being such a self-made man, because he wasn't a rich guy all his life. He earned everything he's got. Like he's got that arrogance to where you're like, I don't like this guy, but I gotta respect this guy because no matter what I think about him personally, he's done a lot to get himself in that position. That's Steven's arrogance. Steven's got that self-proclaimed arrogance. Like he's worked his ass off to get to that point, so he's like, yeah, I'm arrogant. Like, he's got that kind of thing, and he's just so good. Kind of reminds me of like a young Anakin Skywalker, because he's just so talented that he's a little bit arrogant and borderline like an asshole. So like, that's Stephen Strange's arrogance, opposed to Tony's arrogance, which is more, he's been a rich boy all his life, and he just doesn't care, and he's got daddy issues. That's his arrogance, total different arrogance. But like, anyways, getting back to his origin story, as you've probably seen in the trailers, he screws up his hands, and and when he screws up his hands, like, I remember seeing this, like, that's not even the first thing he asks about is his hands. Like, those are his tools of work. He can't do anything anymore. He screws up all the tendons in his hands. He can't really move them. They're all shaky. He can use his hands. He didn't lose his hands. He could use his hands. They're just shaky and, and all screwy, so he can never be a surgeon again. So, I mean, granted, that sucks, but then he went on this journey. He spent every dime he got. See, that's the difference too. He was poor at one point, and it looks like in the movie he's going to be poor at one point too. At one point in time, Doctor Strange was straight up poor. He was poor because he spent it all on trying to fix his hands when, in fact, he didn't even need to do that. He could have been a consultant and made a lot of money doing that too, being a consultant, but he just couldn't bear it. His arrogance, his ego just couldn't take it to the point where he self-destructed himself, basically, just because he just couldn't take it. And I think that's going to be such an interesting thing to see in the movie, and I hope they hit on that, how awful that is that he went down this path, that he was just so caught up in his own arrogance and ego that he just could not, cope. And that's another difference. Tony, something bad happened to Tony. He changed the tune of his beat like immediately. Bad happened to Strange. He did not want to fucking take it. He's like, no, I'm gonna freaking fix my hands, and I'm gonna spend every dime I got to fix my hands. Someone's gonna fix it. I'm gonna go back to the way it normal was. Screw that. And then he meets the Ancient One, and a new world unfolds. Eventually becomes, he gets gets training from the Ancient One. Eventually becomes the Sorcerer Supreme. Now, if I give you any more information other than more, it might be spoiling like heavily things that might happen in the movie, so I'm not gonna go on that. But now I'm gonna hit you with the things that make him awesome. Let's start with his relics. He has an awful lot of relics, some of which I can't quite remember, but go Google them. Just Google Doctor Strange's relics, and that's one of the cool things about him is that he has a shit ton of relics in his mansion. God damn it! How did I already forget the name of his freaking place? In New York, the Sanctum Sanctorum. Yeah, the Sanctum Sanctorum, which is an awesome place on its own. The Sanctum Sanctorum is basically the most secure place on the planet because it has on the rear window, it has a spell on it, which you might just think it's just a stylish little symbol. No, that is the spell of the most powerful protection spell on the planet, which makes essentially his small apartment, his apartment little complex that's like in the middle of New York, one of the most secure places on the planet from magical attacks, from magical or any other attacks really. And it's much bigger inside than it looks on the outside, which is so cool. But like, I kind of count that as a relic on its own because it's such a protection barrier. Like, not many people can even get in that place. Not to mention, once you get in it, it's so much bigger than what you think it is on the outside because it just keeps going. Different doors lead different places. It's fucking nuts in Doctor Strange's Sanctum Sanctorum. But Door's Relic's his most powerful relic, other than the Cloak of Levitation, which is a cool kind of relic because it has a mind of its own. That's a thing that they kind of hinted at in the movie, by the way. The Cloak of Levitation has a mind of its own. It's one of those Thor-like things where if you are worthy, or if it chooses you to be able to use it properly, yeah, you can fly. You can fly. You can levitate, obviously, but it mostly allows him the ability to fly and do a couple other things. It's also indestructible, by the way, so he can use it as a shield, which is kind of shocking. I don't know if they're going to do it in the movie. He's done it before, or he's made it hardened as a shield. But his downright most powerful relic is the Eye of Agamotto. And that is a relic that, in the comics, is just downright fucking sometimes OP. First of all, I was telling Seth this earlier. There's no limitations to how much that damn eye can do. He always wears it around his neck for a reason. It allows him to do so much shit. Like, basically, it's like, imagine a wizard in Harry Potter. And then, like, plug in the show, and then get in and type in the cheat code for, like, extra fucking energy or something. Like, basically, he's already a good wizard. Like, it's a kind of misconception that without the eye, he's just an okay wizard. No, he's still a badass wizard. He's still probably one of the most powerful wizards on the planet, but with the eye, he's downright unstoppable. He can manipulate time. He can manipulate space. He can go in different dimensions. He can multiply himself. He can do so many things. He can screw with your head. He can do this. He's invulnerable to mind manipulation when he has that thing on. Completely. Like, Dormammu can't even screw with his head. There's so many things, and he's never even tapped the full potential of the Eye of Agamotto. By the way, the Eye of Agamotto, little side note, is in the comics is an actual eye of this deity named Agamotto. Go figure. And there's 3 other eyes. There's 3 other eyes of Agamotto, but I don't know if they were ever found. I just know Doctor Strange has the one. And in the movie, spoilers just in case I'm right, because I think I'm going to be right. I think it's going to have an Infinity Stone in it. I think it's going to be a Time Stone, because one of the big things the Eye of Agamotto does is screw with time. So, like, Doctor Strange can literally fast forward a fight, stop a fight, rewind a fight. Like, that eye gives him so much ability. And, like, other than that, he has this awesome sidekick named Wong. They changed him from a manservant, like, because in the comics he was kind of manservant-ish because of the times. But the newest versions of Wong are more like, he's not serving Doctor Strange so much as he's serving the title that he holds as Sorcerer Supreme. Like, it could have been a black woman, and he would have been serving her as, Sorcerer Supreme. but like it's his job to protect him from physical things. 'Cause Doctor Strange, believe it or not, I didn't know this. I read a comic. Actually knows some kind of kung fu, but he's not like on Wong's level. Which is why Wong's around to be kind of his bodyguard, because he can't always be. And that's one of the coolest things. And that's this thing I'm going to end on, which makes Doctor Strange really cool, is that he is dealing with forces that are beyond your comprehension. He goes to worlds that are just like ridiculous. I was reading a comic where he went to a world where it was like 15, like where it was like a giant dude with a freaking tongue, and it was like fucking eyeballs all over the place. Like, he goes to weird fucking worlds. He deals with gods on a daily basis. He does all of that, and nobody on Earth even knows about it. Like, and he is so busy. Like, he can't be helped. Like, and he's so OP in the comics that, like, if he just shows up and go like that and an invasion ends. Doctor Strange is by far the most ambitious thing Marvel's doing, because he's probably one of the most OP characters Marvel's has, and he is their Sorcerer Supreme, which we got our Sorcerer Supreme out before DC did, so I'm pretty happy about that. Comes out on my birthday. I can't wait for this movie. So let me know in the comments, have you ever heard of Doctor Strange? What is your favorite thing about Doctor Strange? What comic character may be coming out? Because I think the next one I'm probably going to do is Wolverine, because of the Logan stuff. And after that, probably Wonder Woman the week following that. Because, I'm going to get those things out there, because some people don't know about these characters. They don't know, like, the origins behind these characters, which is why I came up with this concept, so that, people can get a little bit more in depth with these characters and know, like, oh, that makes them cool. So Doctor Strange is definitely one of my favorite characters. Never thought I'd see him on the big screen. Happy I am. Please remember to like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next one.